Hey there, guys. My name is Justin Stokes, and today I'm just going to be focusing on solid waste management in the United States. Let's begin. So, first off, it comes defining the solid waste, which is just any material that's being discarded by being either abandoned slash thrown away, inherently waste-like, discarded military munition, or recycled in certain ways. Abandoned is just material that was disposed of or incinerated, while inherently waste-like are materials that pose a threat to human health and the environment. A good example of this would be dioxins that contain waste, for example. Military munitions are all ammunition products and components produced for or used by the U.S. Department of Defense or Armed Services. What qualifies it as a waste is if the munition is either being unused or is it just or if it's just defective. So this can be tied back to just being abandoned or non-recyclable. And we all have a good concept of what recycle is, which is just material that is able to be reused. Now moving on to types of solid waste management, um, it's going to be recycling, composting, combustion with energy recovery, and landfilling. And for this little presentation, I will be focusing more on landfilling, but might as well talk about these a little bit. So we already kind of have a good concept of recycling. We're just using or reusing solid waste, so we don't need to worry about that. Composting, on the other hand, is a process where organic waste are broken down by microorganisms. These microorganisms will be things like bacteria and fungi, generally speaking. So ultimately, food waste and yard waste can be significantly cut down by this method. Combustion with energy recovery is a whole process of the conversion of non-recyclable waste materials into usable heat, electricity, or fuel. And I think this diagram here shows a good demonstration, an example of how that works, with the waste being taken to plants to then being processed. A lot of the energy recovery is done through control and confined burning, not that combustion is only for energy recovery, or that is the only positive there is energy recovery, but it also decreases the volume of solid waste meant for landfills. Some other positive about energy recovery through combustion is that it reduces carbon emissions since it offsets the need for energy from fossil sources. Now for landfills, which I want to focus on more. They are the most common form of waste management in the United States. They can make up around 50%. Not too sure, but you might know them as garbage dumps. But they are a place to dispose of refuse and other waste material by burying them and covering them with soil. Waste material is made of household and commercial waste, so organic waste and plastics end up being there too, and they actually make up most of the percentage. So to get a better picture, this is a pie chart. This is from 2018, so the numbers are probably different compared to the compared to today. It basically shows how food and plastic are making up the largest percentages there for landfills. There might be something nice to know throughout this presentation about the effect it will have. Because of course, being the most commonly used waste management system in America, there are going to be problems that would be toxins, leachate, and greenhouse gases. Now, landfills contain contain toxins that, when released, they seep into the soil and groundwater. Electronics such as computers, batteries, and televisions contain hazardous substances like arsenic. So when they end up in the environment, they can last for years, posing a threat to public health. For example, mercury is often appearing in landfills since it's in fluorescent light bulbs. Inhaling a small amount of mercury vapor is able to harm our kidneys and cause respiratory failure. The second problem I want to talk about is leachate, which is just a liquid from landfill waste. And this liquid um, comes from landfill waste breaking down and water filtering through the waste, picking up toxins. So this will especially occur during any type of rainfall. But much like the toxin problem, except maybe just in the form of a liquid, the water seeks through the soil, collecting decomposed waste components, creating a toxic leachate. Greenhouse gases comes from comes from when organic materials, so food and yard waste, get compacted down when put in a landfill. This ends up removing the oxygen, causing a breakdown in an anaerobic process. Eventually, it will release methane, which is a breakdown, hold on, which is a greenhouse gas 20 to 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. And this type of release is going to, well, obviously impact global warming and climate change. Methane is forming a bit bigger concentrations. It also doesn't make it good that methane is flammable when in those large concentrations. So now, what are some solutions for this? Being a little more technical, there are synthetic membranes, or you can just call them landfill liners. And these are basically used to avoid certain liquids from garbage and waste from seeping further into the soil to contaminate groundwater and the surrounding environment. So in short terms, it is a layer below the waste that captures toxins. This also helps with leachate, since through a pipe system it can filter out any biological compounds from the water. Since landfills are a large source of methane emissions, contributing to climate change, a way to change this would be preventing food waste. I also don't want to talk about technical solutions too much, but instead leave a more practical solution that everyone could do. So little things we could do are plan ahead before shopping, and not just shopping on an empty stomach. This makes it so we don't buy any extra food we may not need. There's also storing food wisely. So storing food in a freezer, for example, any type of way to make your food stay edible for longer. Lastly, what I would suggest is being creative with leftovers. So maybe add it to a new dish you're making. Or even better is don't have any leftovers or eat it later. I just wanted to talk about some small ways to contribute. I know I ain't some tech genius out there. So we're excited, and thank you for listening.